It was an after the fact thing too, right? I'm just gonna go backwards on this agenda.
Sure. Chair.
Okay.
Relax. Okay, we are live.
We are live. All right. Once again, I'll bring the meeting to order. I'm Don Berube, 135 River Road. Sweet, introduce yourself.
Elena Colby, Select Board Rep.
Adam Sandow, I'm at Wood Drive.
Carrie Mackinnon, Community Development Director. Jess Duke, 50 Brown Hill Road.
Ben Davis, 9 Wheeler Road.
Sandy Crystal, One Shoreview Drive.
Ginger Iverson, Recording Secretary.
Okay. So tonight, because we're a little shy, both Jessica and Ben, you'll be voting with this. I'm actually going to take this out of order. We're going to start off with the Keller Products application 212-24, site plan application to continue ongoing excavation of property in accordance with RSA 155E located at 9 Gordon Road. Same time, we're talking about the application 411-24, Keller Products conditional use permit, application to continue the ongoing excavation on the property in accordance with RSA 155-E.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name
You're gonna
is,
be quick.
yep, I will. My name is Jeffrey Knight. I live at 2 Peasley Road in Bow. I have the rights to mine the material out of the Keller products. And this is a relatively new experience for people that have sand pits and pits. It was discovered by Carrie sometime in the last 2 months or 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And I filed the applications. Tim Bernier is doing a site plan. It's required and it's not done. And I didn't want to come to the board and mail things, so I want to continue both until next meeting. All right?
And when is the next meeting? Sure, you want to go back
Actually,
on?
Ginger knows.
December
19th.
Yeah.
Would be the next regular meeting.
All right, you got some you want
I
to?
just wanted to share just a little more of the context of how this came up. Actually came up to credit the state inspector for the DRA, is the one who brought it to our attention. You know, previously the excavations were done as special exception, so he has a special exception from 2020, I believe, right? And those expired after a period of time. And now it's a CUP process instead of a special exception. It should last no more than 2 years. So this project in particular brought to light the fact that I think probably all, or at least most or all of the excavations in town have not maintained their renewals of this process. So we are sending a letter to everyone who does excavations to let them know that when their renewals come up in April, that they'll need to have updated their plans before then.
So I'm the first one.
He's the lucky one who got to go first just because of the way things turned out, but everyone's gonna have to do this. Part of the reasoning is to, they submitted a plan however long ago when they started, things change in the field, maybe the excavation area has shifted. In this plan in particular, you'll notice the disturbance area was 99,500 square feet, which is just barely under the AOT threshold. So
Yeah.
this one in particular, really wanted to make sure that if that threshold's been crossed, then the proper permitting is taking place. So we'll be, and then part of the process is also a restoration plan and a bond to cover that plan if it needs to happen. And if they were done a really long time ago, the plans might have changed for restoration and the bond might no longer be relevant in today's world.
Okay,
So that's why I want to get these all up to date.
all right. So the 19th, we can get them on the,
November 19th.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
okay.
Make a motion.
Make a motion to continue. And also just note that it was unclear to me whether or not the abutters need to be re-noticed if the application isn't actually accepted as complete at this meeting. So I wanted to let the board decide what you thought would be most fair. So you can announce tonight that it's being continued to the 19th and that was the continuation of notice. I think that's fair. Or you can say, send out the notices again just to let
Everybody's been notified.
everyone was notified about this meeting. So if they got that notice and watched this meeting or followed up with the minutes, they would find out that it went to December.
Is there anybody from the public that came for this excavation? Just,
So if someone wants to make a motion to continue, that'll be very clear if anyone's following along at home.
So moved.
Second.
All those in
all those in favor?
favor? Aye.
A long day. All right, see you on the 19th.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along. We're gonna go to application 410-24, Eversource Energy. This is for after the fact. Anyways, this is a wetland protection conditional use permit for approximately 8,009 square feet of temporary wetland impact and 1,200 square feet of wetland buffer impact to access and replace two structures along the Q171 transmission line corridor.
I have copies of our permit if anyone would care to have one to look at.
Sure.
I think there will. These down.
That's a lot of paper.
Thank you.
What's that?
It's single sided.
I don't know if I do that.
I'll take one. I wasn't sure how many you had, so just,
There you go.
thank you.
I actually.
Oh, great, thank you.
Um, um, Thank you, everyone, for bringing us on the agenda tonight. I'm Logan Young with GZA Geo Environmental on behalf of Eversource Energy. So, as you described, I am here to speak with you today about two structure replacements on the Q171 transmission line off of Morgan Drive. And this is the work is typical for the other times we've come to before the board on a lot of other projects. Just what was being replaced and how it was done, which I'll describe regardless. But the major difference is that these were emergency replacements of the two structures. So the emergency nature of that work has been done and completed. By the time we submitted this and
I hope we
have
don't
been able to
say no.
speak. Sorry?
I hope we don't say no.
Fingers are crossed. So, well, I mean, I don't actually have a lot more to describe about the project
Yeah,
itself.
So it's done and, I mean, do we look at, making sure that they're following the best practices and, what's,
Well, one of the things that, because this is, both structures are actually on town of Bow land
okay.
here. So the Conservation Commission would like to schedule a site walk after, I don't know what, is everything out of there now?
Yep, it is completely, that project is completely finished. Yeah, there's
Right.
nothing there.
Right, yeah, so the Conservation Commission will, they voted to approve it, but they, or to recommend approval.
Yeah.
But we're planning to schedule a site walk to
See if
review
they
the restoration.
did the restoration.
Hmm. Do you have information about that native plant seed?
I was not able to get any, to your question though, I visited the area yesterday. There is some germination happening already, so for it to be, I think the question was like winter blend.
Yeah, I didn't
seedlings.
know whether what's put down kind of is more of a winter sowing, so expecting that it'll grow, because of course now if it starts to grow, it's gonna.
I don't know. Well, I guess the short answer is I do not have what the specific mix was. I don't know if that was changed from, what they would use at a different time of the season.
Oh, okay.
I do know it would still be a product from the same supplier. I forget offhand. I forget their name, but the New England seed.
Oh, it's the
mix.
New England wetland plan?
Yes,
Which is
yes.
more than wetland
Yes.
things. Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
Well, do you want to, you can accept it as
Oh.
complete.
Make a motion to accept the application as complete.
Oh, you second?
I'll second, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll open this to the public. If anybody came to talk about holes that were already fixed, seeing any? Close the public hearing.
Regional impact? Don't see any.
Yes. I move that the project is new regional.
You fixed the poles.
That's
That's
Right. I'm sorry, I find it kind of bizarre that, this is the grid. Obviously we want you to do the work right. And I'm not quite sure why, we got to get out there. I mean, it wasn't, seen an hour later, you're out there. That's can they contact the town, especially when it's on town land? Because the Conservation Commission could probably get out there pretty quick or just to know. I don't know how that.
Well, don't forget, if it's a Conservation Commission site walk, like a. planning
Yeah,
board,
you
it
need the
has to be
whole-
Public
okay.
notice.
I mean, it's like any of this, it's not like we can say no.
I will second Sandy's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval?
Yeah, so we've considered the conditional use permit criteria. They've presented in their application how they met the criteria. So if you were to make a motion to approve it, it would be based on the fact that they meet those conditional use permit criteria. And then, so the Conservation Commission is going to follow up to make sure the site looks good. Maybe there should be a condition that meets the satisfaction of the Conservation Commission. Because, if the Conservation Commission goes out there now afterwards and finds out that the site wasn't restored properly, then we already approved it and it's over. So
Yeah.
I think it would be good to make a condition that if the site is restored to the satisfaction of the Conservation Commission.
I move that we approve application 410-24 Eversource Energy Wetland CUP for the temporary wetland impact for the replacement of the two structures along the Q71 transmission line corridor, with the condition that the restoration is done to the approval of the Conservation Commission.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
All right, you got your approval.
Thank you all very much.
Who's back?
I can take these. You're welcome to keep it. I love it, but I can take these.
No interest, still trying to find where to put that.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Color maps.
Sandy likes her.
Unless if we need to go back and go out.
Yeah, you want to call. You don't want. Okay.
Someone want to make a motion for the findings of fact? One, the grid.
That's
Two,
pretty good.
they've met the criteria for conditional use permit.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks, have a good night.
Thanks. Okay. Sorry to keep you waiting. Application 211-24. Properties LLC. Site plan application for 3 contractor bay buildings, 22,000 square feet, 18,000 square feet, and 9,600 square feet respectively, and associated parking, stormwater, and utility infrastructure located at 1372 Route 3A. At the same time, we're going to talk about application 409-24, Jerker Properties LLC, wetland protection conditional use permit for 3,450 square feet of wetland impacts for grading, pavement, and septic system located at 1372 Route 3A. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good.
You going to put on the screen?
I can't,
And do you all have a copy of the plans? Because I did not bring.
they don't
them.
have full sets, they have a few selected sheets.
Okay.
And I can pull up anything on the screen too.
So my name's Amy Sanders. I'm with Weston O'Neill. I'm a project manager and a professional engineer. Here with me is David White. He's the owner. So we're looking at the property at tax map 40, block 2, lot 94. It's located at 1372 Route 3A. The property is 7.47 acres and is zoned I2. It's also part of the wetland protection as there are wetlands on the property and also the Aquifer Protection District. It's bounded by I-93 to the west and Route 3A to the east. So the site plan application is for 3 contractor buildings or tradesman shops. We are asking for the wetland conditional use permit to allow grading and pavement within the 50-foot buffer, and also to allow a septic system within 125 feet of a wetland. We are not proposing any direct wetland impacts. We did meet with the Conservation Commission this past Monday. We did have one member make a motion to approve the recommendation, but the motion did not pass. It seemed from the meeting that their biggest concern was the reduction in the buffer to the septic system. We are asking for 2 waivers. One waiver was submitted for the licensed land surveyor certification. So the land was surveyed and is shown on an existing conditions plan that was prepared by Eric C. Mitchell and Associates. That is on record with the town. This was done, stamped and certified back in March 2007. A plan reference is part of this plan set. But we did update the existing conditions plan to show the current wetland delineation, the edge of pavement, the driveways, and the drainage culvert on Route 3A. The staff report also noted that the distance between monuments needs to be 500 feet. So we will be requesting a waiver for that as well. I'll follow up with a letter.
And that was just one, the back portion of the property. There was just one segment that was over 500.
So other required permitting for this project includes New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services alteration of terrain, NHDES subsurface septic permit, the DOT driveway permit, and the NPDES construction general permit, which is also referred to with regard to the SWIP or stormwater pollution prevention plan. So a little bit of history on this property, and I do have smaller handouts. So I just wanted to touch base, if you don't mind. Oh, there. I just wanted to back up a little bit to show kind of this progression to where we are today. So the black and white copy is the original plan from 2007, which shows the removal of material, the ledge cut, and the septic system in the lower right corner or the southeast corner of the property, which is pretty close to the development area that we are proposing today. The colored plan is the concept plan that was shown to folks back in May of this year by my colleague Brian Pratt. Again, this plan kind of utilized the existing conditions from the 2007 plan. It identified potential buffers and the distance from the septic to the wetland. I'm just trying to show that this is all kind of consistent with what was presented to the board previously and seem to, and I understand that if nothing is, permanent or, if there's, you are willing or can change your mind. I get it. But I just wanted to share how we were consistent with that kind of background. The wetlands did change from 2007 to 2024. They were mapped in July of 2024 by a certified wetland scientist. The wetland in the northwest corner grew. Two of the wetlands in the middle of the property, actually three of the wetlands in the middle of property are no longer considered jurisdictional wetlands. And the wetland on the southwest corner has shrunk a little bit. So the previous plan included two wetland impacts for a total of 823 square feet. We no longer have any direct wetland impacts. So going through the plan set a little bit, drawing CP 101 is our existing conditions plan. And this just kind of highlights that the property is not developed. And it's primarily covered with trees and some ledge outcrops. There's a PSNH easement to the west. It's about 90 to 114 feet wide. There's municipal water, electric, telecommunications, and gas available in Route 3A. Site-specific survey was done, which is those like little pink lines on the plan, and that was completed in July 2024. The site slopes from I-93 and from the southwest corner up to the northeast corner generally. And there's an existing drainage culvert that takes some of the runoff from this property in the Route 3A right-of-way, and then the rest of the runoff goes to the north to a wetland area. On the site layout, which is CS 101, so this is showing the three those buildings, again, for contractor tradesman shop use. The tenants will vary, but could include storage, trade professionals such as electricians, plumbers, or other similar uses. The hours of operation are expected to be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Building 1, which is the building to the north, is 22,000 square feet with 11 units. Building 2 is just south of Building 1, which is 18,000 square feet and 9 units. And Building 3 is to the east of Building 2 and is 9,600 square feet with 8 units. Each building includes a people access door along the front and overhead doors along the back with additional people doors. There's a 10 by 20 foot utility room on the sides of each building. Parking for the buildings is primarily located in the front. There's 116 parking spaces, including 5 ADA spaces. There's an integral concrete curb and sidewalk provided along the front of each building. And parallel parking spaces are 9 by 22 feet and perpendicular spaces are 9 by 20. Access aisles vary between 30 and 36 feet. There's a double dumpster located between buildings 2 and 3 and a single dumpster to the east of building 1. Curbing is provided along the landscaped areas and snow storage is shown on the plan. 17,700 square feet is required. 17,730 square feet is proposed. The plan includes a location for a site sign, but the details of that sign have not yet been determined. The site sign is located just south of the proposed driveway, and then the directional sign is located north of the driveway where the two driveways split and branch off. On the circulation plan, which is CS1 and 2, site access is proposed via a 30-foot driveway off of Route 3A. 50-foot emergency vehicle and a large WB-40 truck can circulate in and out of the driveway and through the property. There was a traffic memo submitted with our application prepared by our traffic engineer. It is noted that there's 37 trips in the weekday morning peak, 32 trips in the weekday evening peak hour, with a total of 242 trips during the average weekday. Passenger vehicles and pickup trucks are what is anticipated to use the driveway most often, but again, larger delivery vehicles can be accommodated. The traffic engineer noted that there's no detrimental impact on the existing adjacent traffic network. Traffic generated by the proposed use does not exceed 100 trips during any peak hour and therefore does not require a full traffic impact analysis by NHDOT driveway permit thresholds. The traffic engineer also notes that the level of traffic generated can be safely accommodated by the existing roadway network, and a DOT permit, as previously mentioned, is required. The DOT permit has been submitted, the application has been submitted, and approval is pending. The next drawing is CG 101, which is the grading and drainage plan. So the site access generally slopes up from Route 3A to the development platform. The grades are level across the buildings. There's a ledge cut proposed around the north, south, and west sides of the development area. All paved areas are collected in a stormwater pretreatment devices, including deep sump catch basins, stormwater isolator rows, and a pre-text pretreatment unit. All impervious areas will be treated by either a gravel wetland or an infiltration bioretention system. There is also an underground detention system, which is used to convey runoff from the gravel wetland over to the, convey runoff to the gravel wetland where it is treated, and it's also used to mitigate peak flows. So post-development peak flows are less than the pre-development flows for all design storms, the 2, the 10, the 25, and the 50-year storm. Design storms were conservatively used the Northeast Climate Center precipitation and the SCS values for the town of Bow. Runoff from the stormwater system discharges to the existing drainage culvert at the New Hampshire Route 3A. Stormwater calculations and stormwater treatment design will be completely reviewed by NHDES as part of the alteration of terrain permit review process. And a stormwater inspection and maintenance manual has been developed for this site for all of the stormwater features and the detail. So that is part of the application to DES. It's part of the stormwater report, and it's also included as part of our drainage details in the plan set. For utilities, that's on CU 101. So again, electric, telecommunication, gas, and water is all available in Route 3A. So it will extend from those services in Route 3A up to the utility rooms at each building. There's a transformer located to the east of Building 3. Sewer is not available and is over 3.5 miles away as the bird flies. For the septic design, just CU 102. So sewer services are proposed from each building and will go to a septic tank that's centrally located in front of Building 3. It'll then be pumped to the septic field. And again, the septic field is located in generally the same area as the previous plan from 2007. There's really only one location for the septic field to be located, and that is in that southeast corner in order to meet the separation requirements from the estimated seasonal high water table. Again, the wetland CUP does, we are asking for that conditional use permit to allow the septic system to be located within that 125-foot buffer, and we are currently showing it at 51 feet. The lighting plan, which is CL 101. So all the lighting is designed as LED fixtures on either poles or wall mounted to the building. All fixtures are dark sky compliant and full cutoff. They're a standard looking LED, and there are images shown within the plan set on CD 502. Landscape plan. So for landscaping, we're proposing a mix of trees along the perimeter of the pavement areas. We have a mix of shrubs and perennials in front of the buildings, sides of the buildings, throughout the property, and some additional shrubs and trees along Route 3A. All disturbed areas will be loam and seeded with a grass mix, and a wetland seed mix is provided within the gravel wetland and the bioretention areas.
What are the species of the plants? I actually didn't look at them.
It's in the landscape and plan.
It's the last map.
Oh,
The maple.
okay, all right.
I try to use my best guess at which sheets you guys are gonna wanna see.
Okay,
Not
yeah.
for the whole thing, so I was like, Sandy's gonna wanna see that.
Then the erosion control plan just identifies areas for temporary sedimentation basins, stockpile areas with silt fence and hay bales surrounding them, perimeter controls such as silt fence and filter sock, and the protection such as filter bags at catch basins, stabilized construction entrances, slope protection on all slopes greater than 3:1, and a stormwater pollution prevention plan would be completed prior to construction, and stormwater inspections would need to be provided generally on a weekly basis, but if winter conditions persist, it's cold enough, then that can be reduced to once per month. So because there's the ledge base, or not ledge base, but the ledge cut, there will be blasting involved with this project. The blasting notes consistent with NHDES are provided within the plan set. We also prepared a restoration plan, which is CR 101. The site will generally be graded towards the ledge cut. Detention basin can be accommodated and sized to meet the sedimentation basin requirements. All areas will be loam and seeded, and an estimate for the restoration bond was submitted as part of our application. And then the last plan just generally shows the site distance plan and profile, which was provided to the Department of Transportation for the driveway permit, and shows that it meets the 400-foot all-season safe site distance from the proposed driveway. The last topic is the elevations. So they're way at the end. Yeah, that's it. So the elevation for all three buildings are generally the same. I think in the submittal, the colors vary a bit, and these are not the exact colors that would be proposed. I think generally they would be in somewhat of a neutral complementary scheme to each other. They are one story, again, a people door at the front of the building, overhead doors at the back with an additional people door. There's horizontal vinyl siding along the midsection of the building with a shaker style vinyl along the top, and then a stone veneer along the base of the building.
You say when the front side would probably have a two-story, you'd be able to have a second floor, like over office
Yeah.
area.
Yep.
Currently, we don't have that as part of the building elevations.
Yeah.
I guess if parking
So
and
what, gonna have what, 18-foot
Mhm.
ceilings probably?
Yes.
So you've got room to
Yep.
build
Yeah.
over office.
It doesn't show a second floor built above the office space, but
But you, yeah,
it could.
so that kind I know I spoke a lot and I threw a lot of information at you, so happy to answer any questions you have.
did you have anything you wanted to add, Terry, with?
Well, first, I guess it appears that the application is complete, so if you want to start there, that's probably good.
You definitely have covered a lot, so.
I'll make a motion to accept the application as complete.
I'll second.
Those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed? All right, you have an application.
Yes, a couple of comments.
Be clear, we're on
We're talking about both together.
both.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
They're
good
kinda-
point.
Yeah.
So you were accepting.
Was
Oh,
the wetland functional assessment submitted to Carrie as well?
It was provided via email.
Okay, because it was sort of given to us at the meeting the other day, so.
Yeah.
like,
So that has been satisfied, and the Natural Heritage Bureau letter.
That was actually in somewhere out in the packet. I didn't find it. It was in the stormwater plan, so I didn't see it in there.
All right, AOT requires it.
Yeah, so it was in that packet. So that's it. Yes, so
Try to change that to accept both applications as complete.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, good. So the fire chief was a little concerned with the location of the hydrant. He felt it was too close to the building, so that he would have access to it. It could be brought out, I think to closer to the front entrance so that
Sure.
in there. So that's something that you could work out with him. But,
Yep.
there are a couple minor checklist requirements. She already mentioned the waiver requested for the certification of the surveyor. I think, look back at the application, I think it's important to talk about all, or hopefully all of the potential uses of the site. So you don't get into a position where every time you get a new tenant, you have to come back and say, oh, this is a little different. This is actually the manufacturing, or I just think it's good to try to be all encompassing on a project like this. What's great about it is the buildings are so flexible and can serve so many uses. But as far as the permitting and approvals, we want to make sure we try to capture that now, so you don't have to keep coming back.
So I did take a look at was allowed in the zone,
Yeah.
the parking requirements, and I think in general, it seemed like contractor, tradesman shop, research and development, and storage are like the ones that make the most sense with this. And we'd be able to, like, if everything were research and development, we could meet our parking calculations. If some, like a small bit were research and development, some were contractor, then they would have to play with that a little bit. But I think those are generally the ones that are most likely.
Do you foresee any manufacturing, small scale manufacturing?
I don't think so.
Now's the time to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I I could see a small, I mean, a microbrewery is considered small manufacturing.
So perhaps-
There's a lot of,
Yeah, if the parking can be accommodated and that is an allowed use, I would say yes.
So I just think it's good to figure that out now if you can. I think I would like to hear a little bit more about the the scale of the blasting and material removal that needs to happen for this project, and if you can kind of put that into perspective for the board.
I'm trying to think if we had values.
And there was
65,000.
135,000 cubic yards, was what was on the concept plan. I'm not sure if there was a revised value. Yeah, my thought was that that's a lot of rock, but I was hoping you can kind of, someone at some point told me about what the time period of that part of the work might be, and I think that would be important to hear.
So, David, do you want to speak to like the general timeline for the removal of the material?
It's probably going to be a 2 to 3 year project, just getting the site to pad ready. So we don't intend to go in and just do a lot of blasting. We're going to work our way back through it. And it's hard to tell exactly how much material is there, how much is rock, how much is existing sand, fill, or whatever. But the intent is to work our way back for a period of 2 to 3 years.
I will note that, and I apologize for not having it, but in our alteration of terrain permit application, I did estimate a quantity of blasting. I just don't have that number and I don't remember that number, so I apologize.
So how high is this back wall gonna be? Like, what's the highest point of
Yep, so
ledge wall you can have?
I think in the northwest corner, I believe we're at elevation 356-ish. And the bottom elevation is 332. And then as
25 feet.
Yep, and then as we move to the south, the top elevation is 380 and the bottom elevation is still the 332. So we're,
50 feet.
50 feet.
So would this look like a ledge cut like on the side of the highway that you see? Like,
Yes.
Do you have any fencing or anything that ends up right at the top of that? So
Yes, it calls for fence, 6-foot chain link fence all the way around it.
that'd be a nasty first step.
I just have a couple of questions. The easy one first. So on this plan, I guess I'm looking at the wetland buffer impacts plan. It shows one spot for snow storage, and it's right next to the leach field. It doesn't look very big, and there's a lot of pavement.
Yep.
Did you provide the calculations for snow storage for?
So if you look at the site layout plan, that plan identifies that there's like a very light dotted hatch area for the snow storage. And so it's located along kind of the perimeter of the entire paved area, with larger areas along the north side of the driveway and then adjacent to near the leach field area and then on the internal island. And when I was laying that out, I was being cognizant of where trees and other landscaping is so that it doesn't really account for stuff being pushed on trees or landscaping. That's why you kind of see like the little dips and dives. The calculation was, I can't remember what the actual, it's like so many per square foot of paved area. So the requirement is 17.7, I think.
5:1. That's the ratio we require.
So 17,700 square feet is required. 17,730, so we're just over it, is provided.
And my other question is more stormwater related. We're blasting a lot of rock here, and then we've got what appears to be a infiltration trench practice under the pavement. How how, and then with an overflow to your, and these are wet ponds? So,
They are not wet ponds, they are gravel wetlands. But
okay,
I
all right.
can certainly explain. So for the underground, that is detention only. The system would be lined with a clay liner, so that it keeps the water in those underground systems. So really, it's just a conveyance. It's almost like just a pipe, but we're using chambers because they provide more volume storage than a circular pipe. So you get a wider footprint as opposed to a deeper one with a pipe, circular pipe. So that conveys the runoff to the gravel wetland. The gravel wetland is also lined with a clay liner. There's a wetland material on the top, then there's a choker layer that keeps the fines from falling into the stone, and then there's a stone layer with a perforated pipe in the middle. That allows the water to filter through. It kind of moves through the wetland cells horizontally and then goes to the outlet control structure. So you're getting treatment and you're getting storage in there. The bioretention is the one infiltration area that we have on site. And the reason is it's the only place that we have our separation to the seasonal high water area. So we're getting a little bit of groundwater recharge there, getting the filter through the filter media, and then it can go into the soil. It doesn't have the fastest infiltration rate. It's on the slower side, but the state says you can use up to, I think it's 0.6 with the factor of safety. So we're using, I think 0.3 is our infiltration rate. And then anything that doesn't go into the ground, there's an overflow weir, so then that can overtop and go to the culvert. But the stormwater is designed so that we're not increasing the peak flow to that culvert in any storm.
What about the volume?
The volume, I need to double check, but it's not generally a requirement of the state that we meet volume. What is required is we have to check the 2-year channel protection. And that says that as long as we're meeting the 2-year storm and we're not increasing the volume in the 2-year storm, and there's other criteria too, then we've met that channel protection requirement. So we do meet that channel protection requirement.
Is it one of our requirements? I thought that was one of the things that we changed.
It hasn't changed.
So it's still over.
It's still the horn.
What would be the process for notifying the surrounding, like the abutters, for 2 to 3 years worth of blasting and excavation?
So the state does have a bunch of requirements, which they have to do a pre-survey, they have to do monitoring surveys. As far as direct notification, not really sure. Seeing if I see anything.
Town also has a blasting ordinance with requirements, which I don't know all of it on the top of my head, but.
What I recall, there's the part of the process is that you can have your house evaluated prior to, or your
Yeah, that's
building
the pre-survey.
evaluated prior to, and then after
That's right.
as well. But if the people in the area are going to have to go through that process over the course of 2 to 3 years, every time,
Well,
I was just curious.
would probably be before they start.
That's my understanding. It happens before and it happens after.
Right, but how do you define before and after if you're going to blast, excavate, and then 6 months later do it again? I guess that's my question.
Typically, we do a lot of blasting, well, not, we sub out it.
Sure.
Blasting, but they will go to the surrounding homes or businesses. They will do a pre-blast survey.
Yep.
And then if somebody has something if they identify something, they will call and we would go out and we would check it. Typically, they do it at the beginning, and I don't believe that they would do it until the project was over, if nobody had a complaint or had noticed anything.
So I just pulled up the town's blasting ordinance. So they require a pre-blast condition survey that at a minimum includes all structures, homes, foundations, driveways, roads, pools, wells, mobile homes within 500 feet of the anticipated blasting areas. Then at least 3 attempts to notify the owner of that they're going to do the surveys.
Now, is that each time you go to blast?
And then
Or is that literally we're starting in 2000, and then we're gonna take this out to 2003? Like, obviously, I know those aren't the current years, but
yeah, I'm not sure exactly how like one permit is good for the whole period, or if you have to do
Right.
additional ones. I haven't. not
Does the state
positive.
require any groundwater monitoring?
I believe so.
I believe in that area that we only maybe we have one neighbor to the north
Mhm.
and one neighbor to the south.
yeah,
I mean, there's maybe
yeah. I mean, I'm
But you,
three.
yeah, you might hit, I mean, at 500 feet, you're
Yeah.
gonna probably get two, which, I mean, Galant is
Yeah,
it's a business.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
I have spoken to him. He already knows what's going on, so.
You do have some houses on either side. and little grounds. But I would imagine, I mean, I'm not sure how it works, is the 3, and I mean, so 3 until your project is complete, that's there. It's not, you don't have to.
Yeah, you're on the hook for it.
You're on the hook for it. So whether if it takes you a year or 3 years, I mean, really, if you're to go in the middle, wouldn't make much sense because it's at 3 that first time, that's the condition that it still needs to be in.
So the town of Bow blasting permit says it shall be valid for no more than 90 days. So I imagine you'd have to make some sort of an arrangement to get extensions or additional permits to extend that period. You'd have to work with the fire department on that.
Well, that makes sense to me, just because you're talking about, if you're over by building site, building number 3, that's not gonna have the same impact on, one butter that, more than another. And as you move through the property, then a notification would be required, but maybe not other instances.
And then seismic measuring devices have to be placed on the 2 closest structures.
I mean, obviously, you're gonna start on the 3A side and work your way back. So as you get into the bigger blasting, you're getting further away.
Did you say it was every 90 days that it had to be? I mean, if we were doing blasting, we would probably only blast in a 3-month period, and then we probably wouldn't come back to it for some period of time till all that material was removed. So I really wouldn't have a problem with that.
I thought I read somewhere where if it was more than 5,000 cubic feet that you're blasting, then you need to have groundwater monitoring through the state.
Is that all the towns?
Look into that Okay. for sure. That was on I think the AOT application somewhere. I saw it.
One of the things that is there is municipal water.
Yeah.
So the wells aren't, I don't know if any of these houses are still on wells or
Makes sense.
what, but, I could see if it is on a municipal well, the worst case is you're hooking to municipal water, which the town like them hooked to municipal.
So yeah, as part of the pre-condition blast condition survey includes inspection of wells within 500 feet. So if there are any wells.
one of the things I wanted to kind of get back to was basically the issues raised by the Conservation Commission members, because the ordinance talks about the proposed activity minimizes the degradation to or loss of wetland resources and wetland buffers. And it's not really clear that there was any minimizing of wetland buffer impacts. I think it's like, oh, well, we're just chipping away here and there, and you know, it just, I don't think that that point has been demonstrated. And that's why there was like basically a 3-to-1 vote on from the Conservation Commission members.
So that was the overarching.
Yeah, it was really that, you know, there are wetland impacts, and it just didn't seem like there was any effort to, you know, I don't have.
There are no wetland impacts, but there are buffer impacts.
It's buffers,
and-
right,
and-
and our ordinance talks about
Yep.
buffer impacts, yes.
So I do think we tried to minimize our impacts. I think when we were looking at the concept plan versus this plan, you know, there was a reduction in the buffer area to the wetland to the south. Granted, that wetland did get smaller, but I did try to shift that pavement up and limit the perpendicular parking behind the building to parallel, so that we weren't shifting that edge of pavement out as far as if there were perpendicular spaces. And the same for the areas to the north.
I think the back of the site is where there's the
Yes, and
greatest buffer impact.
and that was an area where the wetland did get larger. And again, I tried to reduce that wetland impact by shifting the limit of the ledge cut away from the PSNH easement. So it's, instead of being right on the PSNH easement, that got shifted over about 10 feet.
Is that the steepest that you can do that makes sense to do the rock cut?
We are showing it at a 1/2 to 1. And I think comfortably that's on a plan as much as we should show it.
Yeah.
In reality, it might be a little bit steeper, but I don't want to necessarily plan for that.
So if it was steeper, that would cut the buffer impacts.
And then I guess the other thing is, do we want to do a site walk? I
Yeah.
realize that the site is going to change, but it would be good to probably take a look around and see what's there.
So, and I will mention that on the original plan, the ledge cut went into the PSNH easement. Obviously, I don't think that would be allowed anymore, but again, shifted it away from that area.
Are there any concerns about salt use?
Always.
Yep, so there will be a certified green snow row requirement for this to minimize, so that it's put down properly.
Yep.
Still need to consider plugging in my device. I thought it was plugged in. So yeah, the board could schedule a site walk. You could consider whether you want to require third-party engineering review for the drainage and stormwater. talk about whether a restoration bond is necessary and if the amount is valid. Is there any other information you'd like to see them bring back to answer more questions? Just figure out where to go from here.
I mean, on a site walk, I'm just trying to imagine what we're gonna see out there, because this is, I mean, to get back, we're gonna be 25 to 50 feet higher at the back edge and what we're not gonna see down in there a whole lot, you know. And any ideas about, you know, what would, you know, what a site walk would do for us?
Because I think it's important to see the before for any of these sites. I think it's basically, it helps you also envision what's there and get a better idea for, you know, what will be going on with the site rather than just looking at paper.
And the building corners and the driveway are staked, right?
Building corners and driveway have been staked.
So you have a little bit of context of.
Okay. Did you put on the stakes how far down they,
Good.
I mean, some are getting that context as, I guess, as, you know, knowing how, you know, how much higher we are right now.
Yeah, did they say like cut, like whatever?
No.
So, no, they don't, but it would not be me that's doing the site walk. It would be Brian, who was here before you back in May. And he is very competent at saying, okay, this is what the proposed grade is. This is what the existing grade is. And
I mean, we could probably figure it out. We got it's on there. Look at the contours and do some subtraction and.
I definitely see the benefit of a third-party engineering review.
Yeah, it's a little, I haven't seen a drainage system like that come before. It's a little different. I mean, AOT is reviewing it too, but I think I would also, I agree. I think have a third party take a look at that.
For their drainage.
Yeah.
And then how does the restoration bond work?
So they have a restoration plan that they provided and an estimate of how much it would cost to pull that off. And so generally, we would probably have a third party engineer take a look at that too and make sure he feels it's appropriate. And then we'd request a bond in that amount to cover.
Got it. And that would be like a condition.
So back to site walk, if we're gonna do one, it should probably be soon before it's covered in white.
Yeah. And we can't really do them right before the meeting anymore.
No. So it would have
Your
to be a
headlamps.
Saturday.
Right.
And a Saturday I would want to do afternoon, you know, like
Did you talk to Brian about
I
his
did.
schedule?
So he said he's be available on the 7th or the 14th of December.
Sure, Saturdays.
Yep.
Yeah. Does anyone know if they're
What's the date? I'm sorry.
December 7th or 14th?
I am not on the 7th. It'd be really tight. I'm flying back from Florida, then have my Christmas party.
The 14th is also closest to the meeting as well, if they come back on the 19th.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't have any snow. I mean, if it is snow covered, I mean, would you still want to Like,
Well,
it
I mean,
depends how
the
much,
thing
I
is,
guess.
yeah,
If there's a
yeah.
foot of snow,
Yeah,
We're
for
not
the
gonna-
snow, that's.
We
there's
just
no-
have to add that to
Yeah.
add an extra foot. Calculations. All right, so December 14th, what time?
12:30? That works?
I don't know if I'm available.
That's up to you.
Sure.
Work till noon. Pretty close by though. Yep. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody from the public who wanted to speak about this. This is your Thursday night excitement. All right. Coming to the planning board meeting.
You can tell it's getting colder out.
Yep. All right, not seeing anybody from the public, I will close the meeting. The public hearing, the public, yeah. So we need to do some voting on.
Yeah, someone want to make a motion for the third-party review and specify that it's
We're
specifically
talking about for
drainage,
drainage.
not a full-blown
Drainage
engineering
and-
review, just the drainage. Yeah,
And a restoration bond.
Sound like a-
and I'll have take a look at the restoration. Yeah, that's one.
Do we have to say, or can you just say so moved? 'Cause that was perfect.
Mhm.
Okay.
So do I hear a second?
Wait, I didn't hear what the motion is.
Oh, man.
I'll say it again. So the motion is to require third-party engineering review for drainage and to review the restoration cost.
And I will second.
Well, I can't make motions. I'm
I,
just stating it.
so,
Made the motion, okay. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, do we need one for the sidewalk?
Yeah, because I guess technically you're continuing it to the
Yeah, so we're going to continue to the sidewalk.
sidewalk. I would state the sidewalk and the meeting. So the meeting's on the sidewalks on the 14th, meeting's on the 19th.
You said motion maker.
You need a motion for that?
Yep.
I'll do it. I make a motion that we schedule a site walk for, we just have one or two, it's two applications, right? Application 211-24, site plan application, and 409-24, wetland conditional use permit application. On December 14th, ahead of the December 19th plan board
At 12:30.
at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I see you out there on the 14th.
Be there.
I'll
Go
be
now
there on
if
the
you want.
17th.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the family Christmas party.
Oh, good.
Oh, sorry.
To say with meeting to be continued to.
All right, so do we got any old business to go through? Any new business or?
We have, is the meeting scheduled up here somewhere? Ginger created a proposed 2025 meeting schedule.
Oh.
It follows the same pattern, but updated dates.
Yeah, there's one date I know of.
Okay, not an error, just a, it's not an error though, right? Just
No, it's
okay.
not an error.
Okay.
Right into it, January 2nd.
Yeah, so that's up to you.
The day we
So
come back.
we don't have to do that.
Well, what,
I mean, it's kind of important time here because
yeah, I was gonna say, what is the deadline now for the,
I have the calendar on my desk. I didn't bring it with me. I
the
don't-
first is the day you recover, so it's just the
That is
day
true.
after that.
It's the
That's
day
all right.
I mean, I'm gonna be at work, so.
Zoning amendment review.
6.
Everyone's okay with the schedule, someone can make a motion to adopt it.
I'll make a motion to adopt the schedule for the 2025 planning board meetings.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
June 19th is technically the new holiday.
Yeah, we don't celebrate that here. We don't observe that here, unfortunately.
Right.
It is. The banks will be closed that day, but
Yeah, we'll be here. I had just gotten that in my last job right before I left. I had just negotiated for it. So is that a state?
I like that I can commit Kip to meetings. Make a motion to commit you to all these meetings.
Well, if he doesn't show up, you have to
Yeah,
come.
show up.
okay. We got some minutes.
I will be abstaining from the minutes, Ginger.
I missed the last meeting also.
Right.
Oh, that's right. It's only the one set of minutes.
Yeah, I put the wrong ones on the agenda.
Right, okay, yeah. I didn't have,
I did an amended agenda. Changed it. Is this one wrong?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't have any edits.
put it the wrong one.
Is that
Maybe the
a first? That's a first. Isn't it?
Last week or last month, there wasn't any edits either. Do we have an update on the school impact fee?
Nope.
Review? I sent it to the town attorney and he said he would be working on it. He must be bogged down with other more pressing issues.
Got it.
Yeah. Before everyone scatters at the end, if you could set aside your application materials for Eureka and then make a nice tile and then we'll try to save them.
I was gonna put it in my notebook.
Or if you want to keep them, but if you want to just put them all in a pile, because we don't remember if you have them in your notes, that's not how they end up in the first one. So
Should we keep the Keller ones too, or do you think
You
they'll
can
be?
just leave everything and I'll sort through it.
Okay.
Unless you want to take the other things, you want to take them.
Okay.
Just trying to make your life easier.
Yeah.
Those are the minutes.
Any notes on everything for Mr. McDaniel?
Okay, then take them. Yeah.
Do we need a motion on those
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah, I move approval of the, November 7th minutes.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We got minutes.
Give me a note. Abstentions.
Yes, 2
I have it.
abstentions.
Make it a-
Then-
There's two sets on here, so we only got one set.
I know, I wrote the wrong ones on the agenda.
Okay.
Right.
Nobody's got anything else? There's only one more motion we need.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Those in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
8:15. We'll do good. I think I'm gonna skip. Oh.